Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome to A Cast for Crows, the top-ranked Game of Thrones podcast on Deadscreen.net.
Absolutely.
For some reason, after 2 years, I am still your host, Joe Ballard. I'm very sorry about that, but I do have my slaves with me, Alexa.
Hey.
And Andrew.
Hello.
Okay, so we have not done a podcast or seen a Game of Thrones episode since 2017. So,
Bear with us.
We're back to discuss Season 8, Episode 1, titled Winterfell. To start off, any general thoughts on the episode as a whole?
Yeah, we had to wait for 2 years. That's too long. And I forgot what television looks like.
Nice.
Yeah,
I mean,
we did one or two things.
There was a lot
in
of
those
exposition.
2 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought when it started that it didn't they use the same music in the opening scene as they did in the opening scene in the first episode.
Dude, that was like 7 years ago.
I
think I saw that
remember.
on the internet. I did not come up with that on my own. I think it was just trying to.
Go ahead.
I think it was just trying to parallel how the first season started with Arya like running to see the king coming and all of that, and now it was whatever that little random kid coming and Arya watching the random kid is Daenerys and Jon showed up. Like I think it was intentionally trying to parallel
Probably.
the beginning of the first episode.
Yeah, it was definitely a callback to the first episode because it starts with, it's not just the kid running like Arya too, it's also, we saw him climbing the walls like Bran did.
Right.
And then, of course, at the end, we also see, Bran and Jaime come together, and that was, of course, that's their first time meeting since Season 1, Episode 1. So I think, Andy, you had mentioned a lot of callbacks to the first episode, not just those two things. Were there any you wanted to talk about in particular?
Yeah, I would have to go back and try and I saw like a picture or something that was floating around on the internet, and it like went through step by step like little things that sort of mirrored. Let me see if I can find it a little bit.
In the meantime, Alexa, did you what stuck out to you that was maybe a callback to earlier seasons, or was
I
there
honestly didn't even notice that myself. So I don't know. It's been a while. I didn't do any rewatching or anything, and I don't even remember the last time I saw the first season. It's been a minute.
While we're on the topic, did either of you guys do any sort of rewatching past seasons to build up to this?
Not really.
I didn't rewatch any past seasons, but I watched like a combined 40 minutes of recap from episode 1 to now. I think it was 20 minutes of recap, 25 minutes of recap of the first couple seasons, and then 10 or so minute recap of the last season. So I caught up a little bit.
Yeah, no, for my thing, I've just seen it so many times, because, whenever someone starts it and I'm, in the room, I'm like, okay, I'll watch it with you, I guess. So, I remember all the key details.
See, that's super interesting, because I, literally try to do the opposite, where I've only seen each episode once, I think. And I'm intentionally, avoiding rewatching it for, as long as I can, in the hopes that I forget things and I can kind of rewatch it again as new, if that makes sense.
Does that increase the element of surprise a little bit, or the level of drama, not remembering certain things?
Well, I definitely go back and catch up, but I don't think it increases the level of drama. I think there's a lot of times where something meaningful happens and I would have had no idea had I not rewatch things a couple times. You know what I mean? It's all still very fresh, and my first opinion of basically everything still kind of stands.
Huh. Very interesting.
What about you, Joe?
I did not rewatch any episodes at all. I did not watch any recaps. I did not watch any trailers. And as a result, there were a couple of characters who I struggled to remember their names at first, including
Ooh.
Yara Greyjoy. It took me a minute to remember her. There was someone else I can't think off the top of my head, but there were a couple characters that I couldn't even remember, and I'm thinking, oh my god, how did I go from being, Mr. Encyclopedia of A Song of Ice and Fire to this? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. We still don't have a book yet, so I haven't bothered.
Yeah, you're like at the same level as all of us now.
Exactly.
How does it
How
feel
does
to
it
be
feel?
down with us?
I hang my head in
Us
shame.
plebes.
Like season 5, I remember our season 5 podcast, and it was like, well, I don't really know. Joe, what do you think? You're the one who knows everything, so tell us. What does this really mean? And
Yeah,
I
it
was
was
just like,
great.
Yeah,
Alexa
well, in
and
all
I have
fairness,
to contribute
I
so
haven't,
much more now.
I haven't done like any theory reading or anything, so I feel like I'm at Andy's level now.
Yeah, it's great. You just go in and you enjoy, and you try to remember everybody's name.
I'm pretty good at the names, but like I'm just generally good at names because I'm just so talented.
This is true. This is true. All right, so back on the episode, season 8, episode 1. What stood out to you the most among all the... Like, we saw a lot of callbacks to past conflicts that we knew were going to have to be resolved at some point. But which one stood out the most to you, and how do you expect it to be resolved moving forward?
I mean, for me, I think just like the whole Daenerys thing, the Starks are not happy, the North is not happy. That I think stuck out to me the most. I don't know. Like I think like the only way this is gonna be resolved, and I feel like that's just how it's gonna happen, is I think they're gonna get married. So.
Interesting.
Barf.
But I mean, I just think that's where it's like heading. It makes the most sense strategically.
You really think Ae-Jon will go for that now that he knows they're related?
I don't. So like, I was reading up on it, and like, I don't think that's close enough in that world where they would have issues with it.
I can see that.
Is it?
I
feel
think
like
it's
the
not-
Lannister thing. I mean, obviously that's a whole
But they're
separate
siblings.
degree. Yeah,
Because that's like, I guess it's like marrying like a cousin. I mean, I know she's his aunt, but like, I don't know. People still do that in parts of the world. So I think
It's
in
true,
a
and it's
world
very
like this
common here,
that's
too.
significantly underdeveloped, I don't think that would have been the weirdest thing in the world to do. Especially if it's like a strategic alliance. Like, keep in mind, like, I mean, I know it's fiction or whatever, but it's meant to be kind of based off of, like, the Middle Ages. I don't think that would have been that weird.
is it
That's interesting. I
just-
wonder how Sansa would feel about that. Would that be enough to pacify her or I guess satisfy her?
Yeah, but has she been satisfied since she sort of grew into this new Sansa that we've seen? I feel like the only time we sort of saw her like that was when she saved Jon. I feel like ever since then she's been kind of pissed off the whole time.
Yeah, I feel like she kind of resents him, and now, like, it's not even just, like, one person above her, now it's two people above her. So I feel like there's just, like, I mean, we've mentioned it before. I remember we mentioned it last time we talked, that there was, like, a lot of strife between Sansa and Jon, and just kind of like this weird politicalness. And I think now that there's, like, now another, like, powerful woman in power, I think she feels threatened again.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I just think it's weird that we literally only have 5 episodes left, but we're still talking about this political squabbling for the most part, when it's like John's the only one who's like, guys, this doesn't mean shit right now.
Yeah, no,
Let's
I was gonna say that.
Let's beat some dead people's asses. Then we can worry about titles and lands.
He's
and all
like
this
literally
other
like,
stuff.
I don't care, guys. Just let's do this first. Literally, if we all die because we don't do anything, there's not gonna be anyone to be queen or king. So who cares?
Exactly. Like, it's not gonna matter. It's like, come on, people, show some
Well,
common sense.
even Bran was like, enough of this. Like, the wall has fallen. Like, enough.
Oh,
So.
Bran.
That's
I
a
feel
whole
like
other
Bran
conversation.
Little robot Bran.
Danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah.
Danger, Jon Snow. But yeah, I think Sansa, like, I understand the complaints she raises, and of course you can understand the North folks.
Yeah.
They don't, you have not just Southerners, but total foreigners all of a sudden coming into their land and they need food and water and oh yeah, there's those dragon things too.
Yeah,
so.
and then I mean, like, and then they're of course gonna take issue with her parentage, which I mean, like, you know, I think it's fair because they don't know her, but like everyone's like, she's the Mad King's daughter, like, now you want us to kneel to her, like when we chose you. I get it. I understand what the qualms are.
Yeah, I mean, for all the people in Winterfell and all the just like regular Joe Schmoes in the North, like, I think Jon just must do a very bad job of letting everybody know how big of a deal the incoming, battle is. Because like, you guys are right. Like, I feel like the last 2 seasons, all he's done has been like, hey, just fucking listen to me. None of this matters. We got other shit to deal with. And still nobody cares.
My thing is, if they brought the dead person all the way down to Cersei, they thought freaking Cersei was worth all that danger and then all that travel, but they didn't think to bring a dead person to Winterfell too. Did they just think the northern folks would believe them, or I'm not sure.
I don't know that it's necessarily that they don't believe. I think it's just since they don't really understand the threat because they've never seen it in their lifetimes, they're like, I don't really care about this. Like, I know what's happening here and now, and I think they're just very much in, like, the present. And I think he just hasn't, yeah, I mean, he must have not have done a good enough job at explaining how, like, bad this is. But I don't think that they don't necessarily believe him. I don't know.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how he ultimately responds now that Sam revealed to him his parentage, and he's struggling to come to terms with what that means. And of course, it makes him realize that not only is Sansa kind of an obstacle, but Daenerys herself is an obstacle because by many
she would have been
laws,
the
Jon
name
is the rightful heir to the 7 kingdoms. But
it's like
he
doesn't want to be king. He doesn't care.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the problem, though. Like, everybody's like, you need to care. You're our leader. But I feel like he's the only one showing some common sense in this whole thing. Like, let's worry about the dead. Then if we're still alive, then we can.
I think
just take
he
some
keeps
titles.
just getting thrust into these leadership positions, and he's like, fine, let me lead, but let's do this first. And I don't think he really wants to be anything. But I don't know if that's just because he's lived his whole life thinking he's just some lowly bastard, and if that's going to change now. But like he just keeps getting thrust in these positions. I don't think he intended to be Lord Commander of the Night's Watch.
Yeah,
I don't think he wanted to be King of the North.
Yeah, he's always been more of the warrior type, and he can he can be a commander in a battle, but as far as just sitting on a throne making decisions, drinking your wine, whatever, that just isn't him, and I don't think it ever will be.
I thought it was kind of odd how quickly they gave him that information, It was that was the big
reveal.
Public reveal at the end of last season, and then it was real quickly he immediately knows. And I get part of that is because we're really in crunch time trying to get to the end of it, but I felt like that was something that was gonna get, not that I'm complaining, I just felt like it was something that was gonna get dragged out.
Yeah, I figured that Sam was gonna make something else up, be like, oh no, that's
right. I kind of felt the same way about Theon and going to rescue Yara.
That was really fast too. It was just kind of okay, we out.
It's his whole rescuing took significantly less than his whole storyline kind of wrapping up at the end in the last episode. You know what I mean?
It was also just way too easy.
Yeah, it seemed very bizarre to me. The pacing of that specific part of the show was very kind of all right, sure, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess this
storyline felt very fast.
Oh yeah, and it's I think the episode as a whole got a pretty good reception from people.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I definitely enjoyed it. I don't know how much of that is being Game of Thrones list for 2 years versus it being an actual good episode. I felt like it was the pacing in that episode, aside from a handful of moments, was very bizarre. Because you are coming out back after 2 years. There's a bit of there's a bit of storytelling that they have to do differently because of the time frame in between the two that they probably wouldn't have done if it was like a normal TV show that only took like a 3-month break. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
also there are like so many characters, and like we have to wrap up everyone's storylines this season, so we need to like we went through like usually you go through like a couple different places throughout the episode, but I think basically everyone
right.
who we saw last season was in this episode.
Right, and it was everybody, not everyone, but a lot of people didn't have kind of like little fluff storylines. Like Braun's storyline was a good, quick way to reintroduce Braun, sort of tell you what like his deal is, and then give him something else to do this season. Whereas with Theon, it's like we did something very significant very quickly to get us back to like kind of an empty space. It's like it's kind of like you were clearing off a bunch of these characters' desks to set them up for whatever was going to go on this season. Even Cersei and whatever the Johnny Depp guy, like, yeah, like their interaction was still, it still kind of felt like that weird forced thing. It's like he was like, I'm gonna go fuck the queen, and then like 3 minutes later in the show he fucked the queen. It was like normally that doesn't go down that way, sort of thing.
Yeah, I honestly didn't have much of a problem with what happened with Theon and Yara. I thought it moved quickly, but I thought, yeah, well, he has to go to Winterfell. We got to get him there, so they don't have much time. But it struck me that he entered the ship with like 3 dudes, and they made a point of showing Euron's entire army. So how did 3 dudes and then Theon, who's missing some fingers and toes, get through all those people that easily and quickly?
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like it felt way too easy. Like you'd think that he'd have more protection set up so that she wouldn't get out. I don't know.
I feel like
maybe that's part of his game plan.
Yeah, I feel like Game of Thrones does this, and I'm not going to be able to think of a specific example, but I feel like they've done this once or twice in the past where they, like, set something up, and then either next episode or next season, they, like, really quickly kind of wrap up something that was supposed to sort of be the cliffhanger, or, like, something to look forward to over the next couple episodes. I feel like they've done it before.
Yeah, they have. But, let's see. Speaking of, let's go back to Sam for a moment. He got to meet Daenerys for the first time, and
that was a great interaction.
Talk about a roller coaster of emotions. Oh my God. How do you guys think he's ultimately going to react? Because he finally finds out that his dad and his brother are dead. One he's sad about, the other he's not. But he was obviously very emotional, and I don't know. It was interesting seeing Sam in that state.
I mean, I don't think he necessarily took it well, and I think he already doesn't like her. Like, I don't know, I think, like, when he goes to Jon and he's like, well, she killed my father and my brother, and it's like, okay, dude, like, she's killed a lot of people. It's like, I don't know, I don't think, like, just because they're your family members, like, I don't know. Like Jon said, he's like, I've killed people.
I feel like Sam is kind of in that same vein as Jon, where like he'll deal with kind of the personal emotional stuff separately from what should be done, because like it seems pretty obvious that he's not super stoked with her, but if Jon's like he's still gonna follow Jon, and if Jon says this is what we're gonna do, he's still gonna like make his peace with Daenerys, whether it's publicly or not, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like I feel like he's cut from that same sort of cloth where he'll just like do whatever kind of needs to be done, even if he doesn't actually like her.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I don't know. I think because he really pushed for Jon to be like, hey, like, no, you're the rightful heir. I don't know. I don't know if he is gonna follow her. I don't know. Who knows? Honestly.
Right. Like it seems very obvious that he would much prefer Jon, both because he likes Jon more and Jon is.
But also, it's like Sam has seen the White Walkers. Like, why is he so? I don't know. Like, it seemed like he got too emotional over something. Which, like, I get it. It's emotional.
Right.
But he's like, he's one of those people who, like, he's seen the threat. Like, why is he worrying about titles too?
Right.
So that, I think he might be clouded by emotion there.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it, but it's also like he has also seen that the Northerners do not really, they don't seem to like or trust Daenerys, and they also don't seem to understand the threat that they're about to be facing, and so I think that also leads into his view is that like we have to make it clear one way or another that Jon, like, whether you want to give him title king of the North, whatever, like we got to make it clear that this dude has some kind of title that the Northerners can get behind, because I don't know what Daenerys can do to get all these people behind her unless she just keeps going on her path of like using fear or using
I
the
think
dragons.
they're
or
just
whatever.
gonna get married for real. It makes the most sense strategically for both of them.
I mean, it's either that or
Or one of them's gonna die.
not even that. Like, isn't there some city? Is there the city that Where was Tormund and the little White Walker boy? What city? What little town was that?
Weren't they in Castle Black?
Yeah, it was somewhere either the wall or somewhere right near the wall. But
I
yeah,
thought it
that's
was
what I
in-
thought too.
I thought it was a new thing, because I thought it showed us a new place on the like crazy new intro.
Honestly, it was really hard to tell where we were going on that new intro.
I know. I wanted to throw up.
I liked the Iron Throne at the end though.
I thought that whatever they were looking at was a town between the Wall and Winterfell.
I mean, it's possible considering that the Umber boy was there.
Right. And so maybe instead of Jon and Dany getting married as like the catalyst that makes them figure it out, maybe like the Walkers get to Winterfell and then whoever survives and they, flee south a little bit, then they're like, all right, let's just do whatever we need to do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like maybe Winterfell, like it falls to the White Walkers in some capacity, and that's sort of the catalyst that moves that forward.
Oh boy, that would be hard to watch though if Winterfell like did pretty much fall completely.
I mean, it has to, right? It can't be.
Yeah.
It can't be
It's
safe
just
all
like
season.
how. No, yeah, they're gonna have to flee south.
Yeah.
And I guess that would make sense because it would give a purpose to the people who are still down there, like Cersei.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't tell like because they're between the Wall and Winterfell right now. The White Walkers. Yeah, like how much more time is it gonna take for them to get there? The dude has a freaking dragon.
Right. I feel like it has to be sooner than later.
Yeah, like I feel like isn't like the Battle of Winterfell coming up like in episode 2 or 3? Like
I thought I saw in the previews for next episode that somebody
didn't
told
watch.
Jon that they were like a very limited amount of time, like tomorrow or
yeah,
or
it's
like
probably
2 days or
Bran.
something.
Bran would be the one to know.
But yeah, that was another one of my questions. Was I thought like the White Walkers were just about there or going to be there soon, so I was thinking like, are they gonna have time for a wedding? Are they gonna have? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily know if they're gonna get married right now. I think it's just something that's gonna be like end game for the storyline.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be the actual end of the whole season when they get married and they both rule together, and I'm gonna vomit.
Yeah, who knows?
I'm sticking with my prediction that one of them dies by the end.
I mean, I
Right, but
think
if
it's
one
also
dies, the other
possible.
wins.
Yeah, well, I also think it's possible, like I've mentioned before, given that we like stick by the prince who is promised, like prophecy, like doesn't one of them have to technically die? But like also, like does Beric Dondarrion have Lightbringer? Like I'm very confused because
I thought we established that wasn't Lightbringer, but that was some
But
kind
it's
of
like-
other magic done by Thoros.
but Thoros is dead, and he did it this episode.
I don't know. Maybe Beric just has magic too.
Yeah, I
Is-
don't know.
is
Because,
Light-
like, that threw me off a little bit, too. Like, because, yeah, I thought we had established, like, maybe it wasn't Lightbringer, but he's just kind of, like, touching it and it's lighting on fire. That kind of sounds like what Lightbringer would be to me. Lightbringer was the sword that, like, Azor Ahai used
Right.
originally.
How much of that do we know from the show versus how much do we know from the book/internet?
I don't know that necessarily they've mentioned Lightbringer a whole lot. I think it may have been referenced when Sam was looking through the books in the Citadel.
Right. So does it matter that much that? Because it sounds like
But
John's
that's-
supposed
that's
to get it
like-
then.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I
if we
still
don't,
don't,
thing
I'm
is,
still
like,
not
if the
convinced
casual
that will be
fan,
implemented in the show at all.
right?
You
If
don't
the
think
casual
that?
fan
I feel like
doesn't
they've
know,
done the whole Prince Who Was Promised a lot, though. Like, Melisandre's been obsessed with it. So I feel like that is
they
going to
did
be
it with
implemented.
Stannis. They did it back with Stannis, and
No,
they
but
thought
she's
he had.
told Daenerys it could be the prince, or no, Miss Ende was it could be the prince or princess. That was last season, and I mean, and also I'm like I feel like she's convinced it's Jon since he was brought back to life. Like I think it's been a thing enough of it for them to bring it into the show. I think it'd be weird if they didn't.
what happened to her?
I don't know. I don't know.
Didn't she leave to go get other red
I think she
priests?
went to Valentis. Yeah.
And that's a long ways away.
Yeah, but who knows with Game of Thrones? They go
Yeah,
to
you
places in like 2 days.
Yeah, thanks, season 7. Actually, it started with season 6. I remember because it was Varys who started in Meereen
Like
and then
Bebop
ended
Yeah.
in Dorne.
Yeah.
Good times. But let's see.
Oh, it was an interesting episode because you mentioned early on about all the like reunions and stuff, and you kind of forget who hasn't seen who.
Yeah, like I thought Jon and Arya had seen each other, and then they
Right.
had this big reunion, and I
So
was
did
like,
I.
oh,
And I
yeah,
I knew that she hadn't seen the Hound for forever, but it didn't feel as much of a big reveal as because I just wasn't. I don't know. It was like
There were so many reunions.
Yeah.
Well,
I think.
didn't she see the Hound last season?
maybe she
Am I
saw
making
him but
that
didn't
up?
talk to him.
I don't know. Yeah, it is like we really should have done a recap.
Yeah, I know. It would have been helpful.
Because that's where I get lost. Like I was talking to my dad about these things, and he was like, "Wasn't the Hound with like Jon?" And I was like, "Was he with Jon?" But yeah,
wasn't
like,
he down?
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Cersei?
he was.
'Cause they
Yeah, he
almost
was there.
fought?
But like, I didn't remember all those little details.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
and then of course Arya and Gendry, which is like reuniting everyone, being like, "Oh my god, totally ship them."
Andy's
Even though he,
favorite
like,
boy
looks like a
Gendry,
grown-
still alive.
Looks
tired
like a
of him.
grown ass man, and she still, I don't know, she still looks like a teenager to me, so it makes it a little weirder.
Yeah, I thought it worked pretty well as like both a reintroduction and moving most of the plot lines along pretty well. But
Yeah.
I'm still thinking like
I think it set up the season well.
Yeah, I think this like Game of Thrones likes to spend a lot of time talking and not necessarily moving forward, which I don't always think is a bad thing. But it was like everything that went on during this episode was pushing somebody or something.
Yeah, I mean, I
forward
think
in
it's just
some
kind of all
capacity.
exposition, kind of just like, hey guys, just a reminder where everyone was.
Right.
And like, now things are happening. I also just kind of loved, it was like, I thought it was hilarious, just like Bran, everyone just being like, what the fuck is wrong with this kid? Like, everyone who like was
Yeah.
reintroduced to him, they're like, what is happening?
Right.
including me.
Yeah, I mean, everyone.
I think one of my favorite moments, even though it wasn't any real consequence, was seeing Tyrion, Davos, and Varys all together and just making random quips about each other.
Oh, in the carriage early on.
Yeah, that, and then when they were
When
up
they're like
talking,
on the
up on
bridge
that-
or whatever.
Yeah, they were below or up
Oh,
above
right.
Jon and Daenerys.
That's where Varys was like, who was it? Was it Varys? No, it was Davos who was like, a proposal is what I'm proposing.
Right.
Yeah, I just love them because they all have had such great lines over the course of the season, and all three of them are very clever with their humor, and it was fun seeing the three of them together.
Yeah.
That may never happen again, so I was glad we got to see that.
So I feel like we kind of zoomed through. So like, for the Umber kid or whatever, do we want to talk about what like that symbol is that we've seen like 30,000 times? Like, do we have any theories?
Will we ever know, or is it just like a White Walker thing?
I feel like it's significant. We've seen it a couple times.
When
like-
did we last see it? Do you remember?
So I was reading up on that because
Season 1,
people were like
episode 1.
talking about it. I know that like it was. I mean, it wasn't like a big thing or anything, but it was like seen in the cave. Like there's a bunch of symbols, and there's like one. That's one of the symbols. And then I think, I feel like there was another time with White Walkers. I don't know if it was
Yeah.
like I think like the Hodor
Well,
time when Hodor dies ish.
it was
they
in
had,
the
like,
very first episode, wasn't it?
I don't know if that one specifically.
Oh.
I think there's like just kind of these runes or whatever. But I was reading that people think it looks very similar to the Targaryen sigil.
Yeah, it does. I could see that.
So, like, I don't know if that's, like, anything we want to theorize about, but I just feel like we kind of zoomed... I don't know, I feel like we kind of zoomed through that part, and I think it was a pretty significant part of the episode.
It felt like it, but as I saw that symbol, I was thinking, what is this? What does this mean again?
Because, like, so I also was reading that that's also the symbol at the tree. There's, like, if you, like, zoom out from the tree, that's, like, what the, like, I don't know if it's, like, the roots or whatever, make that symbol. So some people were, like, saying, like, maybe it's just that meaning, like, he's gonna destroy that tree now, since he already destroyed the last tree.
Huh. Interesting.
I don't know. I just figured, because I remember that being, like, a very impactful part of the show, this episode, because it was just, like, that kid, it was just like, oh shit, that kid's still alive.
Yeah, it was a great little spook. I was all about it. For having such, like, interesting and important, for lack of a better word, like, main villain sort of characters, I feel like we know, like, very little about them, which...
Well, I think that's the point. It's to add this, like, mystery. Like, why is this guy even doing this if we know nothing about him?
Right. It's also frustrating, though, because, like you're saying with the symbol, like, it'd be nice to...
know if that meant something.
Not even know if it meant something, like, know if we'll ever know that it... I mean, I guess it doesn't matter.
I feel like, I don't know, it would be nice to see a little backstory, I guess, aside from, like, hey, he was made by this child of the forest.
Yeah, I feel like we got 2 episodes about their backstory, and then we've gotten nothing since.
Yeah, I mean, we also have no understanding of their motivations, or, like, why they were turning all the kids, like, or the babies or whatever. Like,
right.
There's a whole lot of mystery surrounding the character, which is, I think, what makes him scarier, because we don't understand his motivations.
Do you think at some point... I'm changing my thing. I bet you at some point during this season he'll talk.
Yes,
I
agree.
Do you think he can talk?
Yeah, it just seems like a great reveal in, like, episode... How many episodes are there? 6 seasons? 6 episodes?
Yeah.
Like, in episode 5 or something, near the end of it,
like,
he'll, like, say something to Jon.
It would be hilarious if he had, like, a really squeaky voice. You're just like, hi, guys!
Yeah. I bet you he does. I bet you that's, like, a reveal.
Or if he does a Darth Vader-esque...
Yeah, like
No, I am your father.
Yeah.
Or have it. There's like that theory that he's like Bran somehow.
That's too. You're getting into the. Oh, man.
I don't know. I don't
believe
that
theory.
I don't believe the theory. I just have seen it.
Alexa and her theories.
I don't believe that theory. I think that one's a little weird, and like I don't know how that would work.
I'm already extremely anti-time travel, and that would just be like the biggest kick in the nuts. I want nothing to do with it.
But I have seen a lot of people theorize about that. So
PTSD from Lost.
Yeah, it's 100%
we'll never get over
that.
Okay, is there anything else you guys wanted to tackle from this episode?
So Game of Thrones has started doing this thing last season where they have all these ridiculous scenes that I feel like they write a whole episode and then they bring in like somebody who writes like a 30-minute like romance show, and they're like, hey, we need a scene. And they're like, well, what if Jon and Dany rode the dragons together? And what if they were holding hands and singing while they were doing it? Not only, I don't know, I didn't like that scene, but the execution of it, for a show that costs so much damn money to make, why do the dragon scenes look so bad? They've looked bad for like the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen like how they do it, and they're like it looks like they're riding like a mechanical bull thing. Like, so that's why like the movements are really awkward.
I don't know. That scene was just.
I mean, I think the whole point of the scene is like, hey, Jon's a dragon rider now. We have all 3. Yay.
Yeah, but it was just done in such like a like.
I could picture like the Harry Potter music going like.
Yeah. Both of you definitely thought of the Harry Potter scene when that happened. You had to.
Yeah, I was thinking of Harry and Buckbeak.
Yeah, everybody did, because that scene was extremely cheesy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way the show has kind of been going, though, ever since they passed the book material. Like, they're playing it a little bit safer. They're giving you some happier moments. They're taking fewer risks. It's a little more Disney Hallmark.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
okay with that if over the next 5 episodes shit just goes to hell. But
Yeah.
if it doesn't, it's going to be a little bit of a letdown because like the storytelling I don't necessarily think it's gotten bad, but it has not gotten better since they've passed the books.
I would agree, but I will tell you, we do know that famed director Miguel Sapochnik, who has directed most of the best episodes in the series, is doing episodes 3 and 5 of this season. So we can be guaranteed that we're gonna get like something really special.
I don't
in
think
these
we're
next
gonna
few
have that
episodes.
many like more happy scenes because I think everything is gonna go to hell really
I mean,
fast. Like,
like-
Oh
the
yeah,
White
we're gonna
Walkers
pay.
are-
We're gonna pay the price. We smiled.
right
We
there.
smiled quite a few times in this first episode, and we are gonna pay one hell of a price for that.
I'll take a dragon flying scene if it means stuff's gonna go bad. I can deal with it.
Do we want to do death predictions?
I was just gonna ask before we finish what do you think is gonna happen? Like who do you think's gonna win? I guess versus who do you want? Like who do you want versus what do you think will happen?
Alexa, you go first.
I was still thinking about it.
That's why I said
I feel like shouldn't everybody have that like
it's been
locked and
2
loaded?
years, and I
Yeah,
haven't.
it's been a
I
minute.
haven't watched anything.
Yeah,
It's
but
been
who do
2
you
years.
want to win?
Like win the Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
They're all so flawed at this point.
I know.
I don't know that I have a particular favorite anymore.
'Cause
I
feel
can tell you
like-
what I think will
I
happen
feel
to
like
some of
the
these people.
internet wants John or Dany, and that's like
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with either of those two people winning. I guess.
Like
I-
like when we say winning though, what do we mean? Do we mean winning the war, winning the Iron Throne? Like
I
what do
mean,
we mean
just
by that?
when I say that, my assumption is that at least in the last episode, it's gonna end up to where like it comes down to like a final like situation, and by winning, I kind of either mean whoever's standing or whoever wins the war or whoever it kind of doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, you can win, but like we can blow up King's Landing and there couldn't be a throne and somebody could still win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and I also think, like, Arya's gonna make it. I don't think Sansa's gonna make it, which, I don't know. I kind of, like, have grown to love her badassery. I think she's a little bit, like, I can't think of the word I was looking for. I think she's still, like, a little bit too focused on certain things, but I don't, like, I think one of the Stark sisters is gonna die, and I think it's Sansa.
Just one of, like, you think Bran and Jon and Arya?
Oh, no, I'm saying Stark sisters.
Oh.
I don't think Bran will die.
Won't he just like turn into a bunch of butterflies or something weird?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say he'll be a tree or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll be all right.
I do think Jon will make it, just because I think he's the prince who was promised. I don't know if Daenerys will make it.
I could see us losing Daenerys and giving Jon
Yeah.
like the final reason to do whatever he needs to do, and then him like not winning, so to speak, but like being the guy at the end.
Interesting. I am holding to my theory that Daenerys will die in childbirth, giving
Assuming
birth to
she's
Jon's
pregnant.
baby.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
we're gonna have to really push through some time then over the next
Yeah,
couple episodes.
that's the thing. Like, because I was talking to a friend and she was like, maybe their baby was the prince who was promised. I'm like, they do not have that kind of time.
Right.
But if she's already pregnant or something and they do survive the war, I just think you got to remember the past though. Dany's mom died in childbirth.
Lyanna
Tyrion's
died
mom
in
died in
childbirth,
childbirth.
yeah.
Lyanna died in childbirth. It's just such a common theme with the last
Oh,
generation.
that'd be so stupid
I
if
have
they just
to- I
all
have
the
to
women
think.
die in childbirth.
Well, not all
like-
the women. That's not what I'm saying. I just think.
Well, I know,
just think
but
it's
it's
going
like
to be
this. It's like
Daenerys.
this trope where it's like, yeah, all the moms freaking die in childbirth. It's lame. I feel like that would be such an anticlimactic way for her to go.
It kind of would be. Yeah, I would agree
Her-
with that. But I'm still sticking to that. My
Who's-
prediction.
The dragon that got turned into the ice dragon should eat her.
Oh, okay.
Viserion.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad was saying, like, because I was telling him all about, like, how Cersei's supposed to be killed by, I don't know, the Valakar or whatever, and my dad's like, well, maybe she dies in childbirth. I'm like, that would be so lame.
I think everyone dies, and it's revealed that the Night King is Andy's boy, Duran of Dorne.
My boy.
I do see the possibility of it ending with just, like, literally, like, the Night King just sitting on the Iron Throne at the end. I could see that, too.
This is
I think George Martin has the balls to do that. I no longer have the faith that HBO has the balls to do something like that.
I'm with you.
I don't know. I feel like from what I've seen in terms of just like interviews and stuff, that they're like people might not be satisfied or might not be happy with the ending. I don't know.
I don't think you need to be happy with. I was having a discussion with a friend of mine who was like, that doesn't happen because that doesn't tell a good story. But I don't think the ending needs to be good in order for the story to have been good. You know what I mean? Like,
no,
the story is good regardless whether the good guy wins or loses. Like, it's not about what's happening on page 1 and what happens on page 8,000. It's sort of like what goes on in the middle. And part of what makes both the books that I haven't read and the TV show so good is that literally nobody's safe and anything can happen. So sure, let's take the Night King, this undeveloped evil character that we don't have any motivation and very little backstory on. Let's let him win. Let's go through the process of losing each one of these characters. While it's not fun, it's an experience that most shows or most content doesn't give you. Like, there's a reason why this show is so popular. And if we have to sit down and we have to mourn, all of us together, the loss of Daenerys and Jon and Hot Pie and everybody else, let's just do that. Like, who cares?
Yeah,
I
get that.
I've said this, and I think
could see
probably
it
the
happening.
first episode we ever did of this, I want to see the Night King walking into King's Landing with snow all over the place, and I want him to sit down, and then I want the show to be over. That's what I want to happen.
I could see that being the ending, though.
I don't think so. I'm with Joe. I don't think HBO has the balls to do it anymore.
I don't know.
The problem is, I would love that too, but the problem with it is George Martin has already said that the ending will be, quote, bittersweet. And I don't see how that would make a bittersweet ending.
Maybe, we find out he actually isn't that bad of a guy in the end, and he has a totally justifiable reason for doing everything he wants to.
Maybe he dies in childbirth.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I still wonder if we'll get a little more backstory, because,
I
pretty
hope
soon
we
we're going to have what are they going to be, 90 minutes, 120 minutes or something?
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of time to work with.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope so.
I still think we get Jon and Dany as they're going to the last shot's going to be them getting married in King's Landing with petals falling down and trumpets and the sun shining, and it's going to zoom all out and everybody's going to be cheering in the streets.
Well, it's I've seen a lot of memes of people who think that it might be the ending that's less that's more depressing basically, and it's a gif of crap. Randy? What's his name?
Who?
Hold on. Ramsay Bolton.
Okay, we officially have Bruce and Randy. Congratulations, you
I'm
clowns.
so
just
glad
not
I'm not
been-
alone anymore.
We're just
Join
watching
me
You're
for
going
the
to get a
down here.
t-shirt with Randy Bolton.
Join me down here.
You have hit rock bottom, Alexa.
Nice. I'm so
I know,
happy.
he's been dead
I
for
have
a
a huge
while.
smile on my face right now.
Ramsay Bolton being
Randall.
we just can't with the Boltons. They're just so annoying.
Well, I can.
But what was he saying? So he there's a gif of him being if you think this has a happy ending, then you haven't been paying attention. So maybe that was foreshadowing.
Good. I hope so. I hope I'm miserable. I hope everybody hates the ending. Because that doesn't change
if
how
Jon and
that doesn't
Dany get
change how
married,
good the
don't
show
you think a lot of
was.
people would hate the ending, though?
I
If
don't
what?
necessarily think that they would.
I would.
I don't know. I feel like everyone was cheering them on, even though we were basically being they were having sex, and then it was but remember, this is incest, and everyone's yeah, and then it's but don't forget that they're related. And I think people just kind of got past that, and they're it's fine. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
I don't know.
guess- Well, only 5 more weeks? I assume we don't have any, like, interruptions or anything.
I think it's
5
just
weeks
6.
and we're done?
Yeah, I think it's just like 6 straight weeks. I don't think they're doing.
How long is the next episode?
The next one's normal length, like an
Oh.
hour, and then from there on, it's like an hour and 20 minutes, an hour and a half. I don't think
Nice.
anything exceeds more than like an hour and a half.
Nice.
Okay. I can deal with that.
Yeah, it's good enough.
Okay, real quick. On scale of 1 through 10, 10 being the best, what would you rate the first episode?
I'd give it like a solid 7. I think
Yeah.
it was a good starter episode. It set everything up, but I think a lot of things went really fast.
Yeah, I literally the exact same opinion. I think that this episode, in the minds of like the average person, gets an extra boost because we just haven't seen any. It's like when I went to see the Hobbit movie, like I came out of that movie stoked, and it was because I just got to watch Lord of the Rings after not having had watched Lord of the Rings for like 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I had I got to be back in that world, and it got me stoked, even though the stuff I wasn't watching wasn't good. But I'm not
Yeah,
saying
it was like an
this episode-
arguably mediocre movie.
Yeah, I'm not
but-
saying this episode wasn't good. I just don't think it like I've been seeing people saying it's like it was an amazing episode. I think it was a good episode. It put us back into where we needed to be. All of those little quick wrap ups. I think, although they felt weird, will do good moving forward. It's like,
Yeah.
listen, we put all the chess pieces down. A ton of stuff is cleared up in the sense of like the little things that we weren't sure were going to happen. Everybody has a very clear path forward for the next couple episodes.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. I would give it a solid 7 out of 10. Good reintroduction episode. I felt like it had to balance, reminding us exactly where everybody was, while also inching them forward a little bit into not just next week, but the coming war. And I thought it did a good job of that overall. So,
Yeah.
yeah, good start to the season. Not great, but very good. Satisfied.
Yeah. I was satisfied, yeah.
We about good?
Cool. Yeah.
I'm assuming we don't have the video, so I'm assuming Andy's giving us the usual thumbs up.
Yeah, you couldn't hear my thumbs up?
Okay.
I can see them. They're huge. Okay, thank you guys very much for tuning in. This has been a Cast for Crows Season 8, Episode 1, Winterfell. And we will be back next week to discuss Episode 2. Later.